is knocked down in San Pedro Corozal, allegedly by an intoxicated cop. And will more persons be charged for laced marijuana sweets given to students? These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023.
Special guest in the audience tonight, legendary record executive, Mr. Clive Davis.
My voice is gone.
What?
You start the show tonight. No talking back. I'm your mother.
There's a boy I know. He's the one I dream of.
What's your name again?
Whitney Elizabeth Houston.
Wait, y'all, it's on, listen.
How will I know if he really loves me?
My dream, sing what I want to sing, be how I want to be.
I say a prayer with every heartbeat.
Reach as big an audience as I can.
How will I know?
Common criticism of you, your music isn't black enough.
Look, I don't know how to sing black, and I don't know how to sing white either. I know how to sing.
I might have just heard the greatest voice of her generation.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's got to have a hook.
The hook?
Yeah.
I'll give it a hook.
That'll be $50. Thank you. Wait, hey, this 50 is a fake.
How do you know it's a fake?
What are you talking about, sir? How can I identify a genuine note from a fake note?
Well, a genuine 50 has a watermark with the Jaguar and the written words of the 50, also a thread.
Know your money and know a fake one when you see it. Do not rely on any one security feature. Look for the clarity and quality of printing. The printed lines and colors should be sharp and clear. Feel the quality of the paper and the raised print. Hold the note up to the light to see the windowed security thread. It should form one complete line when held up to the light. The watermark and denominational electrotype. The Jaguar is the watermark in the $100 and $50 notes. The Sleeping Giant is the watermark in the $20, $10, $5, and $2 notes. The see-through feature. The parts of the design printed on the back should fit exactly within the unprinted areas of the front to form the complete design. Check the $100 note for the toucan hologram with the periwinkle flower overprint. Tilt it to see the small images of the toucan and the numeral 100. Check the $50 note for the green foil angelfish. Check even closer. Use an ultraviolet light to see the fluorescent features. Use a magnifier to see the microlettering. Tiny letters that read Central Bank of Belize and the value of the note. Stop the circulation of counterfeit Belize currency notes. Pass all counterfeits to the police at once. It is a criminal offense to hold or use a counterfeit. Be safe. Be sure. Know your money.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Tragedy struck a family in Belize City early this morning as a fire broke out at a residence on Antelope Street Extension around 7 o'clock. At the time of the deadly fire, 22-year-old Adriana Lord, along with her two babies, 2-year-old Isaiah Lord and 2-month-old Zion Lord, were inside the semi-plycem and wood bungalow house. Reports suggest the fire erupted around 7:30 a.m., 30 minutes after 64-year-old Elida Sabio left the house along with her son, 47-year-old Herman Williams. When they left the residence, Adriana and her two children were still sleeping. Shortly after, smoke was seen emanating from the front portion of the house. Neighbors heard cries for help, and while they tried to break into the house, the fire was already out of control.
This morning started off the long weekend with a massive tragedy that shook an entire neighborhood and community to its core. After the fire was extinguished at the Antelope Street residence, firefighters were informed that the possibility of people being trapped could have been there, and sure enough to the cries and the concerns, we observed what was the body of another unidentified adult. We further cleared the area and we learned that it was a mother and two of her very young children that was caught in this inferno. Investigations went on to reveal that the first responding team, which was the neighbors and nearby residents for that area, they indeed heard the cries for help coming from within the structure. However, attempts to reach them were futile as the building had already been consumed by heat, smoke and fire.
Fire personnel arrived at the scene, and while they also tried to gain access to the building, it was not until the fire was under control that they were able to do so. That is when they discovered the charred remains of Adriana, Isaiah, and Zion under the debris. Reports indicate the mother was holding her two babies.
It's a tragedy that one can barely imagine as to how it happened. We are at a belief that the mother, they were overcome by the smoke before they succumbed to their demise.
A question that had been asked earlier, how could they not have been reached or get out?
The structure of the building proved to have been an obstacle for everybody involved. We learned that the rear room where the family was located, that rear wall did not have a window, hence the reason we couldn't readily access them to even pull them out if we wanted to. Initially, when there's a cry for help from within a building, the first mindset is to try the doors. It didn't dawn upon anybody to break down the walls of the exterior, so to speak. It was a wooden structure, one of age, right building, so to speak. It only took a matter of minutes before that building was completely engulfed in flames. We were able to conclude that the fire started as a result of an electrical flaw. All electrical remains showed that they had deteriorated over a period of time, and it gave way this morning. The fire worked its way up from the ceiling and then banked down, whereby all the smoke eventually came down to a lower level before the fire itself consumed the building. Once that happened, visibility was poor. The house was filled to capacity with household furnishings and what have you, from wheelchair remains to bicycle remains. Now, I'm not saying in no way that these were in the path of travel for the occupants in the house. It's just that the the furniture's, the fuel load itself was too much, and once the eaves and the beam gave way, then the roof eventually collapsed, which added as an obstacle for further part of travel to where these ladies were.
This morning, as bodies of the 3 victims were carted to the morgue, immediate family members were still grappling with the shocking and shattering ordeal.
When I come down the street, I see my family house to burn, all will come.
This about what time?
About no shop never open because we never buy the room yet. But quarter to 7, because shop never open yet.
So now what is the ultimate result of this fire? We hear it's tragic.
The fire claim lives and thing, family members got lost and thing where we have to try to cope with right now. And as I say, my family right there still try to process this whole thing. But we don't know where to create the fire, but it just destroy it mess up a lot of life.
And you guys tried to put it out yourselves. How many people were working to put out that fire?
Thank God for the fireman who live here, so Mr. Bud, where they throw across and leave fire, the leave water line and they try out the thing, and the neighbors, then everybody may try out this thing, but then it just out of our control.
The body of the 3 victims were extracted from the house and transported to KHMH, where they were pronounced dead at 10:27 a.m. Yesterday evening, while Belizeans took a break in recognition of Labor Day, firefighters were called to doze off an inferno that broke loose at the famous Mayan garden located at the outskirts of Orange Walk town. The fire reportedly erupted at around 4 p.m. and began to swallow everything in its path, causing damages of up to $5 million to the businesses: a gym, river lodge, stable, a feed house, pool room, and aerobics center.
Tower Hill, that happened yesterday morning, sometime after 3, whereby the Buffalo, what I like to call the Buffalo Wings establishment, went up in flames. We know that the proprietor wasn't at home, as they had left to go to the airport to do a personal run. As far as the insurance is concerned, we have no confirmation on that. We are still trying to gather the little bits and bits to put these pieces together.
But what caused a multi-million-dollar resort to go up in flames in such a short period of time?
Because of the way this building was built, like if you don't know the area, you wouldn't know what's behind that fence. I visited the establishment prior to, but I've never been beyond just the front of the restaurant. I had no idea there were so many little cubicles at the back. This was new for me. I am almost sure my counterparts in the range, they didn't know what they were facing when they arrived. I believe they were expecting fire to be at the front, where the immediate entrance is at. It wasn't until venturing beyond the fence they realized that we are in for a battle. Of course, the best that we did wasn't enough. Everything went up in flames. What contributed to this quick spread indeed was that all these structures had a roofing made of something somewhat like a grass type structure. All of that combined with the afternoon being a very windy day, the flying embers, the close proximity of all these units, even if we were on the scene before the fire started, there was little damage, there was little salvaging that could have been done by us. The structure alone posed as a threat to the owner. When we responded from Orange Walk Town itself, which is an approximate 5-6 miles away from where they're at, one of the only plus for this establishment was the fact that it had a 9,000 gallon pool, which we could have readily used to aid in supplementary supply to the scene. As it is, the investigation into the cause of this fire is still ongoing, and we do not want to speculate whether it was a negligence fire or something that was set intentional. I am hoping that we can get a concrete conclusion by the end of today.
While the investigation is still ongoing, the fire department is looking at all angles.
There was no insurance to this establishment. There are speculations that the owner were going through some financial difficulties at this time. That's something that we need to look into. This would be, in my mind, close comparison to that of backup, whereby the owner of the establishment is basically footing any expense to the establishment out of his pocket, seeing that there is no insurance. We are still trying to get a word with him. Like I mentioned earlier, he wasn't available for us for comments, and we're hoping that we can do so before the end of today.
Today, the owner of the resort refused to comment, and we were not permitted to record the aftermath as police and fire personnel were still in the area, and one of the buildings, we understand, was still on fire. Fire incidents have been reported often and more so during this time of the year. At today's press briefing, the fire department gave an advice given the exuberant number of fires being reported on a daily basis. Station supervisor at the National Fire Service, Kenneth Mortis, told reporters that the public, building owners, landlords, corporates, and others need to divulge into information on fire safety and may well be needing to spend a little extra in the case of a fire event.
I'm not the electrician, but from what I've gathered, I believe you run 10 years and then you do a comprehensive inspection of the building. It's going to cost you financially to do that, but if it's something that we need to invest in to ensure that we enjoy our house and our furniture for as long as we possibly can, then it's something that's worth investing on. We were hit heavily by Hurricane Lisa just last year, and I'm almost convinced that it's not everybody that took the initiative to look at where we are in terms of our house and our electrical. Our co-worker of mine said that he recently changed his wires just a couple weeks ago, which is months after the fact that the hurricane has left the country. All these are the after effects of a storm that ravaged the country, and these are something that we need to look at carefully. A second thing that the fire department has always tried to encourage is the installation of a basic smoke alarm unit. You know, it plays a key role in the early detection of fire, and it is very important in our livelihood, in our use, in our everyday use. I believe it costs nothing more than $25, and it can be purchased at almost any of the hardware stores within the country. A smoke alarm, it do works, and it does save lives.
The family of 38-year-old Dieguito Vargas from the community of San Pedro in the Corozal district is tonight seeking the public's assistance to cover medical costs being incurred after he was knocked down over the Labor Day weekend. The incident played out shortly before 7 on Saturday night as Vargas was on his way to purchase bread at a local shop within the village. His family say that he was knocked down by a cop who was apparently under the influence at the time of the accident. The accident was witnessed by several villagers who stepped in to assist Vargas while also stopping the cop who reportedly attempted to flee the scene.
Pues el sábado nos avisaron por la noche que lo habían atropellado y lo fuimos a ver y pues lo había atropellado un policía y el policía estaba borracho. Mi cuñado iba a la tienda, él estaba yendo a comprar su pan él es un cortador de caña. Él se iba a comprar su pan para que él vaya a trabajar temprano, cuando él lo atropelló a él. Mi cuñado es un mudito. Él no escucha ni habla, pero él está entrenado, él iba en una escuela de mudos, él está entrenado, él sabe que es andar en la carretera, él sabe todo. El policía grabó las evidencias y todo de lo que ellos necesitaban. Él estaba en la orilla, él no estaba en medio de la carretera ni nada. Tenemos varios testigos que lo vieron y yo tengo los videos donde él acepta que él lo atropelló. Y en el police station él está diciendo que él no lo atropelló. Pero nosotros tenemos los videos y la gente hay gente que lo vieron como él lo atropelló.
The cop responsible for the accident, according to the family, was never detained by police despite him being under the influence and his vehicle not having license or insurance.
Los aldeanos se metieron y pararon al policía y no lo dejaron que se vaya hasta que llegó el patrol, y el patrol llegó allá y no lo querían llevar porque es un policía y andaba con su uniforme. Toda la gente estuvo peleando que lo tienen que llevar, y pues se lo trajeron acá y lo trajeron, solo lo encerraron creo que como 1 hora, 2 horas y lo soltaron. Su camioneta de él no tenía ni licencia, él no andaba ni licencia y su insurance estaba vencido. Toda la gente tiene las fotos de todo lo que sacaron de él, de su camioneta de él, porque como yo le vuelvo a decir, me tuve que quitar con él para venir al hospital, y la gente que quedó allá, ellos tomaron fotos y me mandaron las fotos a mí. Yo tengo las fotos, tengo los videos, todo, yo los tengo.
As a result of the accident, Vargas sustained several broken bones and tonight remains hospitalized. His family is seeking assistance to help cover the mounting medical bills.
Sí, él tiene rastos en su espalda, tiene su hombro fracturado, tiene un codo está lastimado igual, sus 2 pies están hinchados, tiene raspones en los pies. Lo que más lo está causando mucho dolor ahorita es la quebradura en el hombro, porque son dos quebradas que tiene en el hombro. Y lo mandaron a hacer ultrasonido por la razón de que estaba pasando sangre, y el doctor dice que fue esa causa del golpe, que está pasando sangre, y se está quejando mucho de dolor, llora mucho de dolor, pero fue un golpe duro que le dieron, a él lo agarraron de espalda, el policía lo chocó a él de espalda. Estábamos pidiendo apoyo para hacerle ultrasonido y para los gastos que tenemos acá con él. Como le digo, él era un cortador de caña, su esposa de él es mi hermanita es sordamuda igual, y tienen un nené de 9 meses.
Y él no puede trabajar, ¿verdad?
Y él ya no va a poder trabajar, y él no va a trabajar ahorita porque su hombro está quebrado, sus pies están lastimados, sus 2 pies están lastimados, toda su espalda está raspado, está pelado. El hombre grita con dolor cada que lo van a limpiar.
Anyone wishing to assist Dieguito Vargas and his family can reach them at phone number 664-7303. It's been exactly 1 week since the fiasco involving the marijuana gummies played out in Belize City. That incident landed more than 30 persons, most of them school children, to the hospital suffering from marijuana intoxication. So far, Mario Bustillos, the exhibit keeper at the National Police exhibit, has been charged in connection with the incident. However, the government is looking to bring everyone involved in this incident to justice, even if they are cops. In a cabinet release issued last week, cabinet stated, and we quote, "Cabinet requested that the Minister of Home Affairs bring all pressure to bear on the Belize Police Department to ensure that all those involved in this incident be brought to justice," end quote. Today, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams gave an update on that matter, adding that investigations are still ongoing to determine if charges will be levied against other individuals.
I don't know where you get that from. I don't know if you sat in cabinet room and heard that instruction, but I can tell you myself and the minister, we have been on this. And the minister has been briefed in terms of what has been done and what is being done. The edibles, or whatever you may want to call them, gummies, whatever they may be, were handed over with a diary in which the persons who handed over described what was being handed over to the exhibit keeper. It was just a matter for him to have signed the diary and receive those items. And from what we know, the items were properly handed over to him. And that's it.
Are you looking to bring charges anytime soon to anybody else?
At this time, it is extremely difficult. There are some of those persons who are involved in the selling. While we do believe that they know that these edibles contained cannabis, and despite that still sold it to children, it is not going to be easy for us to prove that they knew. And so that may pose a hurdle to us, but we're still looking into the investigation. If we should come across imperative evidence that they had knowledge of the content and despite that still sold it to children, then they too can be held to account.
Today, the Minister of Local Government also spoke on the issue that has the entire populace up in arms.
Well, certainly this is a very serious concern, and as you heard my colleague, the Honorable Francis Fonseca, the Minister of Education, speak to these issues, that a lot of the problems is that a lot of these, business owners are unregulated. And we have to understand, people are trying to make a living. They are trying to find a way to be able to, support their families. So we have to understand that first and foremost. However, they also need to understand, and they need to work, with the municipal authorities, with the government, to ensure that, they are regulated, so that, the authorities know what activities they are doing. Ensure first and foremost that whatever, food or drinks they are selling, that they are safe for our children's consumption and the public's consumption.
Government Minister Oscar Requena escaped unhurt following a road incident just after 8 o'clock on Sunday night. Punta Gorda police responded to an area at the entrance of Mafridi village where they found the government-owned Chevy Silverado vehicle on the shoulder of the road. According to reports, Minister Requena was driving from San Antonio village when he was forced to swerve off the road to avoid hitting a man who was crossing the highway. The vehicle crashed into a lamppost, causing power outage in the village. Minister Oscar Requena escaped unhurt. During an interview with the media today, Minister Requena spoke on the incident. According to the minister, he was returning home after visiting his constituency earlier in the day.
First and foremost, I want to say that we have a country to build, and we have to work hard every day to be able to, move this country forward, to make life better for our people. Yes, over the weekend, unfortunately, I was, carrying out my constituency duties, and on my way back, unfortunately, there was a cyclist that came into my way, right where I was coming. And to be honest, I had to decide between, having the potential of knocking down someone or I diverting away from that individual. I chose to do the latter. And praise God, it was a very close call. I had to really maneuver the vehicle, and yes, the vehicle did receive some damage, but praise God, I'm here, I'm okay, and no one was hurt.
At this time, police have confirmed that the vehicle was moved from the scene before a sketch could be drawn. When questioned about this, Minister Requena said he was advised to leave the area as he was completely terrified following the incident.
The police report says that the vehicle was removed though from the scene before they could do their sketch plan. Shouldn't you have followed all police procedures as they are, regulated?
Well, let me see. Obviously, when it happened, I have to thank the people who were the first responders who were there. They were obviously concerned about my safety. And what happened is that the persons who reached to, to check on me asked me to leave because obviously I was shaken, and I left. And thereafter I had people who came to support, and they moved the vehicle. I had already left by then. So that's what transpired.
Did you offer a urine sample?
I went home. You know, I went to rest because I was shaken. I didn't see the police.
Will you do? Will you go in?
Of course, I have to make a formal report.
Sir, some were complaining that you were using the vehicle, you know, after hours on a weekend, but you said that you were doing it for work businesses.
Let's be real. Let's be real. There are persons out there, political mischief makers. And I want to say it's unfortunate that, you know, out of a potential tragedy, that people would want to, you know, make all kinds of allegations. And it's unfortunate. You know, you should not use someone's misfortune to be able to make these kinds of, you know, petty, mischievous allegations. You know, honestly, I am a very hardworking minister. I am in my constituency. I am out there working. Over the weekend, we were running the third annual Rekena football tournament. Every weekend we do that. Our people are out there working very hard. I am out there, you know, and in fact, I was coming from one of the villages when that happened. So I'm here. Praise God for that, that we continue to work.
Coming up next, BTV heads out to Gracias a Dios border marker. They meet resistance from the GAF once more. Stay tuned.
The Orange Walk Film Council presents Fiesta a Mama, a Mother's Day celebration, Friday, May 12th at the Central Park, starting at 5 p.m. Activities begin with the celebration of the Holy Mass, followed by games, prizes, and surprises. After all the games and giveaways, dance the night away with Gil Harry 7. Make it a date and bring mom out to celebrate.
Come on!
When hungry or craving, when laughter or tears, enjoy the best snacking or flavors are here. Asadas, bocados, chiladas, doradas, delicious for snacking, done right and done here.
Done right, done here.
Something's been bothering me a little. I have done all the things a wife is supposed to do. The house, the meals. Where is the payback? I'm very attracted to you.
Oh.
Would you be interested in having an affair? You two just looked at each other like you got a secret. I just don't want anybody to get hurt.
A fisherman from Orange Walk pleaded guilty to a charge of theft last week and as a result was fined by the court. Last Thursday, 28-year-old Ezekiel Canelo confessed that due to his mother being sick, he stole a pearl valued at $10,000, which was found by another fisherman from Orange Walk. Canelo confessed to committing the crime on April 6th. Canelo is also being accused of stealing over $7,000 worth of fishing equipment. For his guilty plea, Canelo was fined $2,500 plus $5 cost of court, which he must pay by October 31st or in default spend 2 years in prison. By now, Belizeans are accustomed to hearing the leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, demand for the resignation of the Minister of Home Affairs, Kareem Musa, and Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams. In fact, just last Friday, he did so. For Barwood, both Musa and Williams are not doing enough to fight crime, and on Friday he told members of the media that all he needed was 5 years to make a difference. Today, Campo Williams responded to Barrow, reminding him about the exchange of words they had at function they both attended recently.
I heard the man said he wants 5 years. I don't know if he wants 5 years to bring the country to where it should be, or 5 years just to say that he was a prime minister, or to try to be like his father, but he will never be like his father. I can tell you I was at the state reception when the president of Taiwan came, and myself and the deputy prime minister were speaking, and the leader of the opposition came to where we were, and he looked at me and he said, "The best commissioner Belize have ever seen." And I looked at him and I said, "But every time you get pan news, you want to fire me." He said, "Well, Compol," he said, "I was instrumental. I spoke to my dad and told my dad to appoint you commissioner because we know you'd make a difference." He said, "And I still stand true to that. I think you're the best commissioner." He said, "But I just asked many to fire you because that's politics." So again, I don't take offense to what the leader of the opposition have to say. He's playing politics, but you should not play politics in the lives of Belizean people.
Here in Belize, we are not exempted from suicidal cases. Though it is not a topic widely spoken of, the truth is that the World Health Organization reports that 1 out of every 100 deaths is linked to suicide. However, these cases would not normally make it on the news due to its sensitivity. Tonight, though, a peculiar situation has forced the fire department to make a comment after they were called in to douse a car on fire. When the investigation took a headway, the department found out that the victim, 32-year-old Davidson Estevan, a Haitian national, was heard calling someone and discussing his financial situation before reportedly pouring a substance on his body and then setting it afire.
Saturday, a bizarre twist of event happened that initially we received a call for a vehicle fire whereby a Haitian guy, a Mr. Davidson of 31 years old, we prematurely got the information that he got burned trying to extinguish the fire. Of course, we figured, well, you know, a normal everyday hero, and he sustained burns to his body. However, in-depth investigation on behalf of the team out there that also worked with the neighbors and the police, fire department learned that this gentleman actually, he tried to take his life by igniting himself on this vehicle. Now, I must tell you that suicide attempt by fire is one of the worst ways to go. You will find yourself incurring fire burns to various portions of your body in varying degrees, and you will find yourself in debt medical wise. The other flip side to that, if you survive the attempted fire burn, then your life expectancy is limited because unfortunately we do not have any institution that deals with these fire burns over a period of time. All fire burn victims are shipped out of the country to neighboring countries that can deal with these fire burns. I really don't know what Mr. Davidson was thinking about. We all know that he mentioned to his girlfriend he was experiencing heavy financial debts, something that he figured he just couldn't take the burden on no more. Well, truth be told, Mr. Davidson, you just now officially racked up more debts to your already extinguishing debt.
The fire was extinguished by fire service personnel, and Estevan was taken to the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, where he was admitted in critical condition with burn injuries. Police are investigating. Last week, we told you about the planned trip by the Belize territorial volunteers to the Gracias a Dios border marker over the weekend. Every year, around this time of year, the Belize territorial volunteers travels to Starstone Island to commemorate the signing of the border treaty between Britain and Guatemala on April 30th, 1859. This year, the group carried out their routine trip on Saturday, April 29th, and once more, the group, traveling on 2 boats, were met with hostility from Guatemalan Armed Forces, GAF, who tried to stop the group from traversing the Sarsoon River towards the island. Leader of the BTV, Will Mejia, today recounted the experience as members of the GEF, in his words, continued to blatantly disrespect Belizeans in their own country.
Yeah, on Saturday, the 29th, this past weekend, the Belize Territorial Volunteers, as we usually do, as it gets closer to the 30th of April, which on the 30th of April 1859 was when the border treaty was signed, which clearly defined Belize's border with Guatemala. So to commemorate that signing, we usually go to the border. We've been doing that for about 15 years now. This Saturday, there was about 24, 25 of us going up the Sarsoon River when we were intercepted by the Guatemalan Armed Forces. They told us to stop, but we knew that we were on the Belize side of the river, so we did not stop. And they insisted that we stop. They followed us, and when they saw that we were not going to stop, they, as you can see from the video, they tried to swamp our boat with water, which is very dangerous. They could have, caused some drowning. They could have caused a lot of damages.
Now, while this is not the first time that Belizeans are met with such hostility from Guatemalan armed forces within the Sarsoon, Mejia says he hopes the government will step up and defend Belize's territorial integrity against such aggressions.
That's something that needs to be called out, and we hope that our government call out the Guatemalan armed forces for intimidating innocent Belizeans on the Sarsoon River. This practice have got to stop. We at the Belize Territorial Volunteers understand that yesterday there was also an incident on the Sarsoon where the Guatemalan armed forces intercepted a BDF patrol. We, the Belize Territorial Volunteers, want to condemn such acts by the Guatemalan armed forces and call upon the government to launch an international protest against these acts.
One of the visitors on Saturday's trip says she was in complete disbelief at the blatant disregard of Belizean rights by the Guatemalan forces.
What is our Belizean Coast Guard, government, etc. doing to allow our Belizean people, visitors, tourists, etc., to come and visit such a remarkable and prominent mark for history? What are they doing to protect our people? You had almost 6 Coast Guards from Guatemala, 2 armed, and the captain of their vessel trying to ram a boat of innocent people trying to just go visit a historical marker. For me, it makes you think. Is it important to our government, and seeing what's happening right now with our borders and the marking, etc., and ICJ, I think it's important that Belizeans know what's going on.
Despite the aggressions towards Belizeans by the GAF, Mejia says the group was able to successfully visit the island to carry out some cleaning and place a Belizean flag near the monument. The government of the day is celebrating a milestone today after the United Nations Human Settlements Program, better known as UN Habitat, in collaboration with the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing and the Ministry of Local Government, launched the Our City Plans Central America. What exactly is the Our City Plans? In a nutshell, it's a global toolbox developed to guide and support local governments and urban actors to not only understand, personalize, and develop inclusive integrated urban planning, but to also follow a participatory and incremental methodology that adapts to their own needs at the local level.
We have responsibility for the Ministry of Local Government. So it means that we have oversight for the municipal bodies here in Belize. Today, we are very happy to be participating in the launch of UN Habitat. This forum provides an opportunity for city planners or urban planners really to participate in a training in which they are going to be, exposed to a very participatory toolkit that UN Habitat is promoting to be able to make urban planning more sustainable with a focus on resiliency, climate resiliency, and mitigation to disaster risks.
Methodology has focused on 8 specific countries: Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and the Dominican Republic, and has been developed taking into account and responding to the regulatory and instrumental framework in the region and the challenges they have in common. It means then that once the methodology is placed into full action, Belize will be better prepared to engage in responding to hurricanes like Lisa, which is a direct result of climate change over many decades.
Well, I believe it's very relevant and timely. As you know, as a country, we have not been very good planners, and that's the truth. We certainly need to do better in how we plan our urban spaces. A lot of times you see, municipalities popping up all over the place without proper infrastructure, without, having access to land, without, being able to know where the streets are going to be, how they are going to move around, how they are going to grow their community. So certainly we need to move away from this, and the whole idea of this forum really is to expose our city planners, our municipal planners, to strategies and a toolkit that is going to be participatory and engaging, so that the outcome really is that they are going to be better equipped and trained. One of the things that I like about this is that through this project, they are going to be able to map out and identify many of the many of the at-risk settlements that are in our municipal spaces, and look at what are some of the concerns, what are the issues that are affecting them. And I believe that once we can do that, our planners and our municipal leaders can then come to the government, to cabinet, and say, here we have this area, here is a map of this area, these are the concerns. They need land, they need streets, they need water, whatever the case may be, you understand? So I believe that that is going to make it more meaningful.
The Our City Plans is a global methodology developed by a multidisciplinary team within the UN Habitat and is the result of more than 100 participatory urban planning processes implemented in different global contexts since 2014. Today, the government of Belize received hurricane relief items from the people and government of Brazil through the Brazilian Cooperation Agency. Minister of State in the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Elvia Vega Samos, received a donation from Aguemar de Mendonça Santos, Brazil's ambassador to Belize. The donation is valued at about $33,000 and includes food packs, hygiene kits, and 500 kilograms of dehydrated nutritional soups. During the handing over ceremony, representatives of Belize and Brazil spoke about the importance of helping each other during times of need. Belize expressed gratitude to the people and government of Brazil for their generosity, which contributed to the continued support of families impacted by Hurricane Lisa. Also present were Ambassador Amalia Mai, Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, in her capacity as the chair of the Foreign Assistance Committee of NEMO, and Marconi Leal Jr., Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, May 3rd, here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3NewsBZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.